Welcome back. Restaurateur and Union Square Hospitality Group CEO Danny Meyer taking a stand on wages. In an effort to pay his workers more, he is eliminating tipping from restaurants. He joins us now to talk more about it. Dagen Mcdowell also joining the conversation. Danny, good to see you. Welcome.
Thanks, Maria.
So, I mean, you have such successful franchises out there, and you want to put this across all the restaurants, no tipping?
We're going to roll it out over the course of the next year.
Tell us.
Well, the first thing is that a lot of people don't understand the tipping system as it is has completely lost any value that it may have ever had. Most restaurants share tips, so all the waiters share the tip that you leave, so it doesn't really go to the person you thought it was going to go to. But the law prevents a restaurant from sharing your tip with the people who are cooking your food. So at the end of the day, what's happened is that it can be a good thing for servers who want to work on commission. It's a bad thing for servers who want to make a profession out of it, but it's a terrible thing if you're the person cooking the food.
I couldn't believe that when I read that. Why is it banned that the people cooking the food don't get a piece of that tip?
You tell me. It's a government thing, and it's just
so
something
weird.
that has actually created a disparity where over the past 30 years, the kitchen wages have gone up 22% on an hourly basis in 30 years, whereas being in the dining room has gone up well over 250%.
And your strategy, will it help the quality of life of the people that are working in your restaurants?
It's going to help us to reverse what's been a horrible drought in labor in the kitchen. There's absolutely no incentive to go to culinary school and cook at the level that you need to at one of our restaurants when you know that you just can't make that much money.
One thing that everybody has said, certainly on Twitter, I've seen so much conversation about this. If I can't reward my server, then the service is going to stink. It's my discretion that I get to say, that I get to determine if the service was good or not. What do you say to that?
I say that's my job. I say if you come to one of our restaurants and one of our servers is not offering warm hospitality unless you give them a tip, I don't want that server working for me, and they won't at the end of the day. I would also ask you a question. When you see a menu price in any restaurant, let's say you're going to go buy the roast chicken, it includes the full price of the roast chicken, including the cook's salary. If the roast chicken is dependent upon you tipping the cook to be good, would you go back to that restaurant?
Good point.
It's a great point. I mean, people might want to do an extra tip on top of, obviously prices will be higher, right? Because you're incorporating the tip in there.
The menu price that you see will be higher, but the guy that would have tipped is going to tip anyway. So by the time you get your credit card bill, it's the exact same thing as if I put it in there in the first place.
And actually, when we look at tipping now, unless the service is really, really horrible, you probably still default to an automatic 20%. So if that's the case, then that will be passed on to the cooks, to the servers, and so forth. So how much of an increase are they looking at in terms of their real wages?
Well, what we're going to be able to do is to have that discretion ourselves. So by putting the full price into the menu, being transparent about it, it allows us to do two things. Number one is that we get to determine what everybody's revenue, what everybody's income is on a merit basis. Do you know that every single waiter makes the exact same adjusted minimum wage, whether they're good or not? Do you know that every single waiter today shares in the tip that you gave this one waiter right over here? How about if I have the opportunity to pay somebody what I think they're worth? And what we're going to do for our servers, because it's an outstanding profession for many of them, is to not only raise their wage to $9 an hour from $2.35 an hour, but we're also going to institute revenue sharing for our servers so that just like today, when the restaurant's revenues go up, they're going to have the incentive to sell and to make more money. So we're not going to take that away from them.
I like it. This is. I think you're selling me. Let me ask you, broadly speaking, in terms of business out there today, because we're having a debate on the economy all the time, and we know that the last time people saved money at the gas pump, what did they do? They went out to dinner. What are you seeing out there these days?
Well, happily, business has been very, very good, very, very strong. One of the things that restaurants offer people is hope, and so even when the economy is a little bit shaky, as long as your restaurant's offering decent value, people want to be with people. So we're seeing really good things. Shake Shack's doing great as well.
Shake Shack was a great deal on the New York Stock Exchange, took the company public. Has anything changed in terms of business post-deal for Shake Shack?
Only that it's gotten busier because so many more people know about Shake Shack. It used to be pretty much something that on the East Coast you knew about, but I think the IPO in and of itself gave the restaurant company a really good boost and some wind at the back.
So being public didn't sort of change the way you operate?
Didn't change it at all.
All right, Danny, good to see you.
Thanks, Maria.
Thanks so much for
Thank
joining
you all
us.
very
Danny
much.
Meyer
Good to see you,
joining
Dan.
us. Dagen, great insights as well.